The perfect everyday car wasn't designed. It happened by accident while Chevrolet was solving problems no one talks about anymore. In 1967, Chevrolet was not chasing headlines. There was no moonshot tech, no wild styling gamble, no promise that this car would change America. The brief was dull and practical. Make something comfortable for long drives, easy to service in any town, and cheap enough to sell in huge numbers without cutting corners that would come back as complaints. What rolled out of showrooms that year, the Impala, looked ordinary. Rows of them sat nose to tail on dealership lots, sedans and station wagons in conservative colors, waiting for families who needed a car that would simply behave. On paper, the Impala was a full-size American car built to fit real life. Nearly 213 inches long, with a wheelbase just under 120 inches, it offered space that modern midsize cars still struggle to match. 6 adults could sit without their knees touching. The station wagon version stretched the roofline back to a flat cargo area that swallowed groceries, strollers, luggage, and weekend hardware store runs. This wasn't luxury, it was capacity. Wide doors open to bench seats you could slide across, dashboards you could read at a glance, and windows that made backing up easy. Details that mattered every single day. Chevrolet's goal was not excitement, it was predictability. The engines were familiar and proven, inline sixes for buyers who wanted simplicity, and small block V8 engines for those who needed effortless highway cruising. Horsepower figures were healthy, but that was not the point. These motors were tuned to run cool in traffic, tolerate missed oil changes, and start on cold mornings. Under the hood, there was room to work. A mechanic could reach what needed fixing without removing half the car. That mattered in 1967, when many owners still did basic maintenance themselves, and small-town garages kept America moving. The pressure behind this design came from outside the brochure. Suburbs were spreading, commutes were getting longer, one-car households were common, which meant the family vehicle had to do everything. Weekday work trips, school runs, Sunday visits, and summer road trips across multiple states. A flashy car that annoyed you after an hour was a problem. A car that broke down far from home was a disaster. Chevrolet needed something that reduced friction, caused less fatigue, produced fewer surprises, and led to fewer returns to the dealer with complaints. That approach carried risk. When you build at scale, every mistake multiplies. The Impala wasn't a low-volume experiment, it was a mass-market backbone. Fleet buyers noticed this too. Police departments, taxi companies, and businesses put these cars into hard service because they needed predictable behavior. A design flaw wouldn't be hidden. It would be exposed daily on city streets and highways, on camera and traffic footage, and in repair bays across the country. Visually, the Impala reflected this thinking. The body was clean and straightforward, with enough chrome to feel finished, but not enough to distract. From above, dealership photos show lines of identical cars, their sameness almost boring. Inside, the emphasis was on space and calm. Long hoods smoothed out the ride, soft suspension tuning absorbed some broken pavement instead of transmitting it to the cabin. On film, you see families loading wagons at curbside, doors closing with a solid sound, engines idling steadily as traffic crawls. Here's the quiet twist. By solving complaints instead of chasing praise, Chevrolet aligned comfort, durability, simplicity, and repairability at the same time. Not as a philosophy, as a side effect. Nothing about the Impala fought its owner. It didn't demand special treatment. It didn't punish mistakes. It just showed up day after day and worked. If you want to help my channel reach 1,000 subscribers, take a second to like the video and subscribe. These cars are the kind that shaped real life, even if they never tried to be legends. So nothing about the Impala announced itself as special, and that is exactly why it kept winning in the real world. Once these cars left the showroom, they entered a kind of long-term test no engineer could fully control. Daily life. School drop-offs, rush hour traffic, long highway stretches at a steady 65 miles per hour. stop-and-go city driving in summer heat, snow, rain, dust, and neglect. And over time, the pattern became obvious. The Impala didn't just survive this use, it settled into it. The size that once looked excessive turned out to be a quiet advantage. With a curb weight pushing well past 3,800 pounds, the car felt planted on the road. On film from the era, you can see how smoothly it tracks across uneven pavement, the long wheelbase ironing out bumps that made smaller cars jittery. Compared to compact sedans of the late 60s, the Impala simply asked less of the driver. Steering inputs were calm, lane changes were predictable. On long trips, drivers arrived less tired, not because the car was exciting, but because it never demanded attention. Inside, the space paid off in ways brochures rarely explained. 3 people across a bench seat was normal. Kids slept stretched out in the back during road trips. The station wagon version turned that same interior into a moving room, the rear glass lifting to reveal a flat cargo floor that could handle furniture, camping gear, or a week's worth of family life. Old home movies show wagons backed up to curbs, tailgates down, coolers and suitcases sliding in without careful planning. No folding tricks, no clever packaging, just space. Mechanically, the Impala's reputation was built one boring mile at a time. The small block V8 engines, especially in their lower stress configurations, were not chasing peak output. They were designed to run smoothly for hours. Oil capacities were generous. Cooling systems were sized for traffic, not just open roads. In service bay photos and training films, everything is accessible. Spark plugs are easy to reach. Belts and hoses are visible. This meant lower labor time, fewer mistakes, and faster fixes. In an era before warning lights and onboard computers, simplicity was reliability. This is where the story quietly flips. People often say the Impala was popular because it was cheap. That's not quite true. It wasn't the least expensive car you could buy. It was the least demanding car you could own. It didn't punish missed maintenance the way tighter, more fragile designs did. It didn't require specialized knowledge to keep going. That distinction mattered to families, fleets, and small businesses alike. Another common belief is that station wagons were an afterthought. In reality, they were central to how these cars lived. Wagons were ordered intentionally, used hard, and kept longer. In period photos, you see them everywhere: suburban driveways, national parks, construction sites, police motor pools. The same basic platform handled all of it. That consistency created trust, and trust created loyalty. The detail people tend to repeat once they notice it is this: the Impala didn't impress its owners. It removed obstacles from their lives. Driving it felt neutral. Fixing it felt manageable. Living with it felt normal. And when a car does all three, people stop thinking about the car entirely. That is a rare achievement. Look at modern traffic footage and the contrast becomes sharper. Cars today are smaller on the outside but heavier inside, with systems layered on top of systems. They ask drivers to learn menus, warnings, updates. The Impala asked nothing. It existed in the background, quietly doing its job while life happened around it. That says something about the moment it came from. Post-war America valued dependability over drama. It also says something about Chevrolet at its best, listening to complaints instead of chasing trends. The result wasn't a legend by design. It was a solution that aged into perfection. If this car brings back a memory, your parents' driveway, a family trip, a sound or smell you haven't thought about in years, share it in the comments. Give the video a like and subscribe. Sometimes the most important cars are the ones that never asked to be remembered.